Are we going to win the trade war with China? No, probably not. I do want to show you guys some videos of what's going on. First of all, China is not planning on backing down. Watch this.
China is fully prepared to fight to the very end because the world is big enough that the United States is not the totality of the market in the world. So if the United States wants to go in that direction of completely shutting itself out of the China market, be my guest.
Yeah, and China will lose the U.S. market, which, as I've said, is 15%.
We don't care. We don't care. China has been here for 5,000 years. Most of the time, there was no United States, and we survived. Right. And if the United States wants to bully China, we will deal with the situation without the United States. And we expect to survive for another 5,000 years.
When you hear Donald Trump say China wants a deal, it just doesn't know how to go about it. They're proud people. J.D. Vance talks about Chinese peasants. What do you make of their conduct in this respect?
If J.D. Vance thinks that he's dealing with the peasants in China, and I'm proud to be a descendant of the peasants, most of us are descendants of the peasants anyway, that's our tradition. We are farmers before. But now we are one of the leading industrialized economies in the world. So I'm sorry, J.D. Vance doesn't know what he's talking about. And therefore, I don't think there will be China-US dialogue unless the United States changes its attitude towards China. Deal with China as it is, show respect to China, show respect to the Chinese people, and don't try to impose your prejudice and biased view about China or about the rest of the world.
Okay, so we'll break that down a little bit, but I want to show you more of what is happening online that is making a ton of waves. There is this bag guy. There's a rumor now that the trade war between the U.S. and China has caused China to lift its what they called a secrecy clause, which kept hidden which luxury brands or which items were manufactured in China, even though a lot of these brands have slapped on them, like made in France or made in Italy. And in fact, some are saying, no, this stuff is actually made in China. Now there's this huge trend happening on social media where this is being exposed, where these Chinese nationals are walking around their factories and saying, we're actually the ones who make all of this. And the whole point of that is to say, you thought that you could get away from, basically everything's made in China, even the luxury brands that claim they're made in Italy or made in France. It's all made in China. And the tariffs war is going to hurt practically anything and everything that you purchase. So here is this famous bag guy that has been circulating over social media. And we had to edit this out, and I'll show you why. We did have to edit the brand name out of this video, and I'll explain after we watch this.
Some say as long as there's a tag saying made in China, the bag can never be luxury. However, in fact, more than 80% of the luxury bags in the world are made in China. But those luxury brands just won't acknowledge that. They take almost finished bags from China factories back to their own factories and just do the repackaging and logo installing, something like that. That way, the bags will appear at their boutiques as made in Italy or made in France. Those sophisticated European countries, which make you feel mysterious, royal, and thus luxury. Now, close your eyes. Let's just do a little, very easy experiment in your head, okay? Imagine that you have a bag and suddenly the label on it changed from made in France into made in China, while everything else, like leathers, zippers, and hardware, remain the same. Do you suddenly feel that your bag is not as luxury as before? If you do, that means you have been misled and poisoned by the market campaign of those luxury brands for too long. Welcome to the real world. Now you see, those bags are made in China by our intelligent and diligent Chinese artisans. Let's not be poisoned and misled by the market campaign any longer and be a real person. Buy a bag from us, from our factory in China. See the real world for yourself.
Okay, so the bag designer on that one was should I say it? Am I going to get in trouble? Let me actually read for you what happened. This is an Instagram warning of somebody that they've had their account now suspended. He says, my Instagram was suddenly suspended without any warning due to a video published about luxury fashion goods being produced in China. Hermes Paris are the reason it got suspended permanently. I have no access. And the Instagram warning that he received says, we suspended your account because we received a notice from a third party that it infringes their trademark rights. The video was titled, China isn't just flexing its industrial muscle, it's flipping the script. Through slick expose-style videos, it's winning the tariff war of narratives, not with tanks or tariffs, but by dragging luxury giants like Hermes, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Prada, and Chanel into the spotlight. It's not just a clapback, it's a masterclass in soft power, calling out Western excess while manufacturing the receipts. And so we made a video and that got ripped off the internet. And the next warning over there saying, we removed your post. Why did this happen? And it says that it was actually done by Hermes. It says the owner was Hermes International. And so basically Hermes is cracking down and saying, we're removing these videos. So I guess I'm taking kind of a risk by showing this. But I also want to play this video for you. This is Hermes saying, hey, no, we actually do manufacture all of our goods in France. This is not real. We're made in France. We remain made in France, and they're lying. And this is just a way for these replica manufacturers to sell bags, and they're all cheap. And when you get one, you'll see how cheap it is. So this is a little bit of, this is from about 11 years ago, Hermes opening the doors to its factory, showing that this stuff is made in France, but pay attention.
I think the pleasure to share is bigger than the willingness of hiding. So we decided to open our doors and to show exactly who we are and what we do. Hermes started as a saddle maker in 1837. And we are using the same techniques 180 years later to make our bags. It's a good opportunity for us in Festival des Métiers to show what we are doing and why it takes so much time.
How important would you say the fact that Hermes is made in France, or even better perhaps, made in Paris? How key is that to Hermes' brand?
It's very important because we have different locations. For example, the silk is in Lyon. And why in Lyon? Because by tradition it's the best place in the world to print a silk. And in France we have this long tradition of know-how, especially in leather craftsmanship.
Okay. So he goes on to say, you know, it's really important that this is made in France. It's a tradition. But I want you to pay attention to that video. You notice that you did not see rows and rows of bags being made. This is not mass production. And what the Chinese counter now to this is that, yeah, your stuff is designed in France or it's designed in Italy. You know, these are the designers. They're sitting down. They're really crafting it. They're getting those materials. They're making the initial bags. But then when it's going into mass production, it gets sent to China. All of the materials are sourced from China. They then mass manufacture the bags. The bags then go back to France or Italy or wherever. And then the bag manufacturer or shoes or whatever it is will slap on the labels. They'll do a few of the finishing touches, the packaging, the labeling, and then it can be say it was made in France or made in Italy when in fact it was actually made in China. And I think that the reason why China is exposing this is to counter the narrative that Chinese goods are crap, that they make cheap stuff, it's not good anyway, and it doesn't matter and you don't want it. And China's saying, actually, you're buying our goods. You're buying them at, I mean, a Hermes bag, by the way, is like $30,000. It's outrageous. It's totally outrageous. But, you know, you're buying these luxury goods and they're actually made by Chinese craftsmen. And when you actually stop to think about it, who would make these bags anyway? I mean, who in France, the West is industrialized now. It's, you know, moved on from the industrial era. We're now in finance and all of these other things. And a lot of Europe is tourism. Who's making these bags in France? Like, do you think that there are French people that are sitting around in factories actually making bags? Or is it, if they do have factories of people making bags, it's probably the immigrants coming in from Africa who would be sitting down in those factories making the bags. But places like France, Italy, you know, really Europe in general have extremely robust hiring, you know, really robust employee rules and regulations. They have high wages. Everybody gets free, you know, healthcare, education, all of these things. So it's not likely that the stuff, when you just think about it from a logical perspective,